Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Well, what are we, 5 weeks into this? Six?
This is the sixth week because we just have the AFC.
We've been doing this for 6 weeks?
Yeah, AFC and NFC South are left. Yeah, you literally only have 3 weeks before the season. You have 3 weeks left to sign up for the Circa Survivor or Circa Millions. Once the season starts, they just don't let you play those anymore. It's over. Although you can play until, if you really want to, you can enter up until like the Monday night, I believe. But obviously, it's a little tougher. You really got
Millions. It's real tough. Yeah.
Well, in Millions, it's tough. But Survivor, I think you can sign up until Saturday or something, and they make you pick a Sunday game. Obviously.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's the cutoff. Saturday, I think it's like Saturday. If you don't take my word for this, go to the Circa website, look at the rules. I think the cutoff is like around 1 or 2 p.m. because that's when the entries have to be in 4 millions in Survivor. Like that's when they lock the contests and document everything. All right. The Baltimore Ravens are going to cap our 6th week doing this. 6. And we are finally at the number 1 power rated team by my numbers. We are at the number 1 power rated team by market numbers. The team that finished last year power rated number 1. And the team that I don't think this conversation is necessarily should they be 1. I mean, everybody fucking agrees. It's literally just by how much. Yeah. Market says it's a little. My numbers say it's a little. Actually, my numbers have all of the good teams a cluster above market. So I think I'm maybe projecting that we're already in mid-season form and these teams are already kind of flirting with a +7. Yeah, I mean, your thumbnail for this pod said it all. Like the Ravens have unfinished business. They have not gotten to a Super Bowl in the Lamar Jackson era, despite having the best team a lot of years. And while, yes, only one of the times that they had a realistic chance did they have home field in the AFC title game, that was the only AFC title game they made it to in the Lamar Jackson era, Andy. And so I'm a little bit split here because Lamar took such a humongous step forward last year, a year after he won the MVP for the second time. He takes a huge step forward.
Multiple people say that, like Lamar was better than Josh last year, and Josh was probably better than Lamar the year before. Like
clearly,
the number of MVPs is right. It was just in the wrong order, and it's fine. It's subjective.
Yeah. Guys. So the question is, I mean, the 2 questions we're going to explore today, and some of this is speculative, some of this is narrative. Very little of it is quantitative, but if Pat Mahomes can make it look easy against the Buffalo Bills defense, Andy, why can't Lamar in the playoffs? Why couldn't they do what they did in the regular season in the playoffs where they just absolutely pantsed the Bills? Right? Why? What happened?
And that is the biggest thing. They are not just a regular season juggernaut, but a regular season beat good teams by a bunch and have really big wins, especially as they, round into form later in the year. They have big wins throughout the regular season. And I don't think there's been a playoff over the last 5 years where they weren't, hey, this is one of the 3 teams, the 3 best teams, and 2 of those should be in the championship game. And it's only been them once. They've had their struggles. Some of it can, even be like, oh, it's choking, and they're just not cut out for the playoffs, and playoff Lamar and playoff Harbaugh. And I mean, some of it is just, it's a pretty small sample. And, if you have a couple bad games at the wrong time, you're going to get this sort of reputation, and they're stuck with that.
Yeah. It's getting to be a bigger sample though.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to really like try to kick dirt or throw shade on Lamar Jackson because he's my favorite player in the National Football League. I hope he has a healthy and productive season and threatens another MVP and gets a 1 or 2 seed and is a factor in January because I got to tell you, I don't really see what else is is going to let down. I don't see what else breaks down for the Ravens this year if Lamar's healthy. They're in it. Sam mentions Nose in that game against the Bills hurt them. Sure, but the defense by that time of the year was so much better than they were the first time they played the Bills. And the first time they played the Bills, they made it look easy. So I'm not sure exactly what it is about the playoff moment, but I'm not an idiot. I remember very well living through the Peyton Manning and Tom Brady rivalry in the AFC, where year after year it felt like Manning was feeling pressure. Couldn't really perform against Belichick the way he could against everybody else along the way. And honestly, if there is a mental fear of failure, fear of the big moment, and guys like Mahomes and Brady don't have that fear, and guys like Lamar Jackson and Peyton Manning do, then the empirical evidence is there if you want to make that case.
Yeah, I don't know if I do or not, and also I don't know if it's helpful to, especially for our exercise day. We do love talking about it.
Well, no, it definitely is because here we are talking about how they're great in the regular season. They kicked the shit out of the Bills in the regular season last year. Well, guess what? They get the Bills week 1 this year. And if they win that game, then guess what? Their price to win the AFC is nuclear short. Like, I know they have other tough contests in the first 4 weeks, including a home game against Detroit and at KC, but they could set themselves up pretty clearly through first quarter of the season to be the AFC comes through us, at which point they will be plus 200 to win the AFC and plus 400 to win the Super Bowl. And so it's almost like you need to decide if you're going to get on the Ravens train this year. It's going to leave the station early, and or at least there's a decent chance it leaves early. And
here's the thing, Drew. I disagree because you talk about those numbers, and if you what are the numbers right now? For AFC and Super Bowl.
Don't have it in front of me, but let's say 3-1 and 6-1, something like that.
Yes, I think it's like 7-1 to win the Super Bowl. I can get those same numbers in the second half of the divisional game when they're down by 50. Probably better,
especially because they might be at home. Yeah,
they're home down by 13 to the Bills. And
just bet them then.
14-1 win the Super Bowl. Just take it there. Why go through all the grief and tie up all that money if you truly are of the belief that it's become a mental block? And honestly, it's like anything. It's like health. You talk about the really catastrophic knee injuries and how mental that is to when they're recovering. People have to learn to trust their knee and trust that they can do what they did before. It's the same kind of thing. There is a such thing as a mental block, and it does affect people at the highest levels. So, a couple more of these, and guys can have a goddamn complex. So, and maybe not through complete fault of his own either. We just have a lot of really good generational players in the AFC, especially at quarterback right now.
If Mahomes beats Lamar and Josh Allen again in the playoffs this year, we're at like Djokovic, Dimitrov type of territory, where it's just not ever going to happen at this point. And so it's, I think this is a pretty important season for both of these players. And because they're both in the AFC, because presumably only one of them if either of them is going to beat Mahomes, then, one of them is going to come out of this, I'm saying between Lamar and Josh, one of these guys is not winning the Super Bowl this year, Andy. I can promise you, because they will only have one representative of the Super Bowl in the AFC. And so it's to me, at least, there's definitely the potential for damage to be done, whoever does not, kind of overcome this year. Baltimore plus 325, by the way, to win the AFC, plus 667 to win the Super Bowl. And, I think those prices are at least halved if they beat Buffalo and Kansas City week 1 and week 4.
I thought you just meant Buffalo. Yeah, if they get both of those wins,
if they get both of them, then
just,
it's
such an inside track to the 1 seed that you're probably right.
The next chance that they realistically would lose a game would be like, I don't know, Cincinnati week 15. Like, there's really just not a lot of other potential L's, with the exception of the Vikings were a little bit of their own worst enemy at times last year, losing to teams that they had no business even being on the field with, let alone, being in a scuffle with. So I don't know.
I was thinking about that too. How many double trivia?
Yeah.
How many active players have an MVP award to their name? And then secondary, how many of that sample are quarterbacks who are in the AFC?
Oh, man. Well, 4 of them that I can think of off the top of my head: Lamar, Josh, Pat, and Aaron Rodgers.
I know that's the funny. It's like the 3 dragon heads. But
is it 4 and 4?
It's 4 and 4. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You named it right off the top.
Okay.
I mean,
I didn't think
technically, Aaron won his in Green Bay, but before that, I mean, it's a bunch of Brady, it's Mahomes. You have to go back to Matt Ryan there.
Yeah. I mean, your active Super Bowl winning quarterbacks is also kind of insane right now. There's not that many. It's wild. But I want to kind of point to, or at least I want your opinion on, like, there is potentially, like, I don't think that either Bills or Ravens, and we're going to focus mostly on the Ravens today, obviously. I don't think either of these teams is really like close to windows closed, because the Ravens have done a nice job of kind of retooling on the fly. After, re-signing Lamar, they invested a lot in the draft, and they've seemed to have swung and hit on a lot of important pieces. And so they have a lot of young, talented players who aren't really making a lot of money. And I think the fact that they're able to kind of restock the offensive line year after year without investing tons of resources in that position, which again is a huge credit to Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, is one of the huge reasons why. And I think ultimately the organization is well run, the team is well coached. They have a bunch of young players, and so I'm not prepared to say like now or never for the Ravens, but it certainly is going to feel like deja vu over again if we are previewing the Ravens this time next year, and they had the 1 seed and they lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think, and to their credit, winning the Super Bowl is hard, and being as good as they have been in the regular season is impressive and should be lauded. Doing this preview 2 years ago, we came in and be like, we're moving from Roman to Monken, and that guy's been at a few different places, and some of it was college, and we don't know what kind of system we're going to have here, because what kind of system do you put in place for a quarterback like this? And I mean, they've done nothing but win games and put together an elite, very difficult to stop offense. And I don't see that it's one of those offenses that there's like definite answers to. They just beat you up front. They brought in another young guy who picked up the run scheme blocking pretty well in Rosengarten. And I mean, besides the age of the lead running back, I don't know what slows down that running game again. And it's kind of a pain in the ass to scheme against, because
you think
it's just like, oh, they're just like, it's not flash and pop and wow Miami Dolphins a couple years ago. We're doing this stuff that is trickeration. It's just, we're going to line up and beat you with this. And Lamar is going to be able to make these reads on whether this should be a run play or he's taking it. And then he's going to beat you with his feet. And honestly, I think their passing game improved. And, that was always kind of a thing we'd been down on them for probably the last 5 years, is like, it just isn't a good receiver room. And they've done things. They've drafted receivers. They've tried. And they've got another one in the fold here now. And I think it isn't like what we talked about yesterday. I don't know what time it is, man. But it's not, obviously it's not Higgins and Chase. But it's finally not a receiver room where I'm like, this is below average. This is a good receiver room. Good, not great. And, obviously they have a good tight end too when they're healthy. And it's really hard to like poke holes in this team. And, you let off the podcast with this is your number one power rank team, number one by market. I'm not saying your numbers are wrong if you don't make them number one, but if they're not really close to whoever you have as number one, you might be doing something wrong. It is really hard to poke holes in what they've done on both sides of the ball. And, the big concern last year was losing McDonald among like two other defensive, assistants. And it just turned out, hey, this is an elite run defense still. We have a bunch of the pieces in place. Honestly, the secondary might be even improving as we go throughout, through last year into this year. And
yeah,
they gave up some big plays in the passing game, but no team's perfect. And I still think this is it's just top 5 offense, top 5 defense. I don't think you should be able to dispute either of those.
I agree. I don't think it's possible, certainly, that what we got out of Lamar last year in terms of efficiency is as good as it's ever going to be.
Yeah,
it's as good as it ever has been.
Give me that. Give me 90% of that for the next 5 years.
It's possible. It's possible that with 20-year sample on either side, that's the 100th percentile. It's possible. The EPA per play for the Ravens was as good as anything, as long as I have EPA data for. There was a blip in 2020 when there was no fans and offenses were destroying that. The Packers did a hair better. The unfreaking believable breakout season from the Ravens, they were right in the mix with this team in terms of efficiency. So, it was as good an offense as you'll ever see. And it's possible that was the high watermark. And I'm still not like prepared to say that there's any expectation of a step backwards because the defense looks like they improved. The key weaknesses all look like they have gotten better. All of them. The defense, we know it is entering year 2 under the same coordinator, which very reasonable to expect a continued arc of improvement. The arc of improvement from last year could not miss it. You cannot miss it in the week by week, no matter what stat you're looking at. Like that defense got better as the season went deeper, and it was specific schematic shuffling of how they were using players that led to it. But you don't unlearn that. you don't forget what you did. So this unit they're gonna kick ass. In fact, you know what? If there was one thing that you were gonna say and be like, the weakness of the team was probably Justin Tucker. They might have found as good of a replacement as you can in the draft, which is wild.
Yeah, don't know how good that kid's going to be.
Yeah.
We've seen that over and over where young kickers are very sporadic and based on what we think, but they were like 73% field goal make last year. Mm-hmm. It's like bottom 5. Maybe my greatest achievement ever as a prognosticator was
your
special teams number. Hey, Justin Tucker might be bad this year, and I didn't mean it like that, guys. I didn't mean bad like a bad person. I didn't see that coming. Wasn't aware that the opera singer was also a sex pest, allegedly. But yeah, he was. They might improve. We might see an improvement there.
Okay. Well, 2024 set aside for a minute the fact that their season-long data was just utterly glowing. They started the season 0-2, Andy.
Yeah.
What? They lost to the Chiefs by a toe now on Thursday Night Football in the banner game. And then
likely loss.
Yeah, the most likely loss. And then they turned right around and they pooped their pants against the Raiders in a game that was just absolutely inexplicable. How this can't be. They had a minus 6.24 special teams expected points in that game. Interesting. Tucker specifically cost them that game. I didn't realize that. The next 5 games, though, they got back on track with not compelling win against the Cowboys, and then okay, we're finally ready to start the regular season. Arrival winning, hosting the Buffalo Bills. Incredible Week 5 showdown against the Bengals. Incredible Week 6 matchup against the Commanders. That I think, me personally, that one was sort of the Jaden Daniels can do that against these guys. Then maybe we need to take him seriously. These wins against Bills, Bengals, Commanders, and then Buccaneers, all you're scoring 30 plus in all of these games, 40 plus against the Bengals and the Bucks. Like this was now like stand up and take notice. These guys are for freaking real, which means you go into Cleveland week 8 and you lose, which is, again, like how that was one where I believe there was a drop or a dropped interception. It was a dropped Jameis Winston interception that would have just ended the game, and the Bengals the Ravens would have won. That's what I remember. It would have been a walk-off interception to Jameis, but instead they get another shot. They get a completion, and they somehow win 29-24. Do you remember this?
Even when the Browns are bad, every Browns Ravens game is fun somehow. Remember the pants pooping game a couple years ago?
Absolutely.
It might be my favorite game of all time.
Oh, no question. Did not enjoy 35-10 in week 18. That one was forgettable. There was a dropped interception, and then Cedric Tillman caught a 38-yard pass from Jameis Winston when somebody fell down, if I remember correctly. Be misremembering.
I'm kind of a little fuzzy this morning. Sorry, Drew. And by this morning, I mean 4 in the afternoon.
Is my video working?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I'm not looking at the screen.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, you're fine.
Our lads has nuked. Our lads has nuked me.
You're a little frozen, but you look good. Like sometimes people get frozen in a silly spot. You got frozen in a nice looking one. Drew's probably restarting here. So Pizza Man in the chat has a quick question. We will segue, worth mentioning just because, and maybe you're listening to this weeks from now, who knows, but the Rashee Rice and Quentin Judkins legal situations kind of sussed themselves out a little this morning. People are mad about the Rashee Rice one because it's like, it almost feels like freaking collusion with the league because of the Chiefs' schedule and how it looks like it'll work out. Like, oh, he'll get to play against some tougher teams, and then maybe he'll have to sit out after that when they finally get to this at the end of September, and he might have to be suspended against some weaker teams. I don't know that it's a conspiracy theory, but it kind of holds some water. I don't think the NFL would do that. Like,
is he allowed to go to a foreign country?
I would think so. It's not like a DUI where you can't go to Canada.
It's a pretty bad charge, though.
Yeah, but he's not guilty yet.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and then the Quentin Judkins thing, Quinshawn. Am I saying his first name wrong?
I don't know.
He's new to the league. Judkins, the rookie running back from Cleveland, they aren't going to press charges or go any further with that. So he's, I guess, free to start his career. That is not to say that the league can't still punish him for the allegations and whatnot. So we'll see how that goes, but maybe it just goes away and he's able to start his career there with the Browns. So back to the Browns division mate, the Ravens. Drew's back. He's moving fine. Our lads nuked his computer, which no offense to our lads, but I don't know if the Walter football guys took over that site and started.
It's just such an aggressive ad bot, whatever the fuck it is. All right. The regular season had extreme highs and then just head scratching lows. The loss to the Raiders, the loss to the Browns, just a deconstruction of the Broncos, close calls against the Bengals, really entertaining games, lost to the Steelers. Set your clock by whatever game Baltimore finds themselves in Pittsburgh for the impossibly indescribable how did they lose this game moment. That game comes week 18 this year and probably gets Pittsburgh to 9-8. So as Baltimore has whatever spot they need wrapped up. Yeah, some of my most favorite memories, the December game at the Houston Texans where Beyonce stole the show at halftime.
Yeah. Was that the undressing game?
31-2.
Yeah. Or it wasn't good at all. Unless you were like a Ravens fan or
Texans at home on Christmas. The only points scored were by the defense, and it was for 2. So
good defense.
Yeah, good job, guys. But yeah, the absolute demolition of the Steelers at home in the wild card round was fun. They were like 7-point favorite. 9.5. We talked about this. 9.5 point favorites. They cover. And then a game where I didn't think Lamar Jackson specifically played like questionably or poorly. He was bad for a half and then good for a half. But they dug themselves too much of a hole against the Bills, where this thing was 21-10 at halftime. Josh Allen was playing a great game. Lamar wasn't, and they scrambled hard to come back, and ultimately, they were down 8 points with 3.5 minutes to go. It just wasn't going to happen for them. I definitely lost money on them that game. I think I won money on the over, which got there by a point. Any general thoughts on how things ended for the Ravens? And do you remember specifically that Ravens Bills game? I have this problem of when I bet on AFC or playoff games in like the lead up, and the team that a guy bet on loses and they're eliminated, I just kind of like quickly put them out of mind. So I didn't really think hard about this loss. Can you color in the lines for me a bit?
Not really. I'm a little fuzzy on that one too, where it was just, it kind of runs together with like, the Ravens lost in the playoffs. That happens. I guess I'm used to that. And it was
cold.
I'm trying to find.
It was in Buffalo. Like there was excuses to be made there, but Lamar threw a pick, which was unusual for him to that point in the season. He was just extremely, extremely good at avoiding the key turnovers. Lamar got sacked twice. He was good at avoiding the sack. He fumbled and lost the fumble. The Ravens ended up losing 2 fumbles. that was one where Mark Andrews had.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the story.
Drop the fumble. Turnovers. He had his worst game as a pro.
Yeah. 3-0 turnover battle. The Ravens outgained the Bills 416 to 273. You do that in a playoff game, you usually win. Josh Allen was only asked to throw for 126 yards that day. The Bills were only penalized once, accepted penalty for 10 yards, did not turn the ball over, just didn't make the mistakes. I think maybe that's the kind of the blueprint. Don't make mistakes. Play your game, run the ball half decent. Like Cook had 67 yards. Their leading receiver had 67 yards. They didn't really go out and do a whole lot, but when you're gifted those 3 turnovers, you don't turn the ball over, you don't commit any penalties, you have a pretty decent chance to win a goddamn game. And,
they were also efficient in the red zone. All the first 3 trips in the red zone, they get a touchdown. So that also helps for the Bills. I got to ask you though, now I'm starting to, the juices are flowing a little bit. Zay Flowers was missed. Your top target getter was Mark Andrews. Your second number 2 target getter, a tie between Isaiah Likely and Rashad Bateman. That's a lot of trying to live over the middle of the field. And as we learned in the ensuing game against Kansas City, you could have taken advantage of some of the secondary pieces for the Bills if you had wide receivers to do that. And if you're down 21-10, you kind of need that wide receiver room to be healthy and be effective to be able to make some explosive plays in the passing game to help you come back. And they didn't really have it. So kind of a fizzle to a season where they were so freaking good.
You know who didn't hurt him that day?
Justin Tucker,
perfect 3 for 3 on field goals and extra points in his final game, I would assume. I mean, it would be one thing if he were much younger and he didn't have a shitty season last year, because we saw that with the Jacksonville kicker. Like, someone will pick him up once we forget about it. But I mean, he just wasn't very good. So likely his final game in the NFL, he was perfect. His swan song. Yeah. And again, it kind of goes with what I said in the small sample. Try not to have the worst game of the season in the playoffs thing. Turning the ball over 3 times and not forcing any turnovers against a guy who won the MVP. Honestly, usually you're not going to be a 2-point loser in that game. You're going to be a 10-point loser. So they probably overperformed in that game. And, they did run the ball well in both of their playoff games, the win and the loss, which super predictable apparently. And such is life. We move on to the next season. We try again. We restart. We're going to be better. We're not going to do that in the playoffs again. We'll see.
The Ravens, Andy, had 9 games over the balance of 2024-5 with 0 turnovers. They had 8 games with 1. And they had 2 games. They had 2 games with 3. One of them was a loss to the Steelers, 18-16. And the other was a loss to the Bills, 27-25. So in your 2-3 turnover flurries, you lost by 2 points in each game. One of them was pretty important. All right. What did you think of their offseason?
Fine. With these teams that we do on Thursdays, the really good teams, it's one of those things where it's like you didn't have a lot to fix for the most part. And hey, you're drafting 30th or whatever it is. So you don't end up having a lot of draft capital. That said, I think they did really good in the draft because, they did the thing where you take a chance on a guy with character issues. So you get a guy in Mike Green in the 2nd round. You drafted him 59th overall. He was someone that if he didn't have character issues, he's a top 20 pick. He's maybe top 15. He's one of the highly lauded, edge rushers, but there were question marks. There were some character concerns. He was dismissed from UVA. He had some allegations, some stuff, but he was the FBS sack leader last year, and he is a massively explosive pass rusher, and nobody has anything bad to say about how he's looked in camp. So that was a spot you could have improved, even though you have some good pass rushers. Like, I don't think you can ever have enough, especially in how the NFL offenses are set up right now. And you got Malachi Starks in the 1st round from Georgia, super versatile. If he works out, it's just like, hey, you have the best safety tandem in the league now. So he's kind of like the way he is versatile, the way he plays football. Everybody kind of said, like, he's a Raven. He's a Raven already. So it was kind of nice they already got him. They had a ton of draft picks, actually. We mentioned Tyler Loop. We didn't mention him by name, but kicker from Arizona. He's the first kicker ever drafted by the Ravens. He has 62-yarder in college, and all things are pointing to him being pretty good as far as camp going. We'll see how it goes in the regular season when the lights are the brightest and you got to make a big kick. But I think the draft was successful.
Yeah,
free. You didn't have a lot to fix, and you kind of went out and added to a few spots you could. You re-signed Ronnie Stanley after he had a nice year. You restructured your big running back. Even at that age, makes sense. You went and got some cornerback depth, and you did it with some guys who start on other teams in Awuzie and Jair Alexander. So, like, I'm looking at the stats for coverage last year, and it's less impressive than I thought it'd be.
Okay, here you go. You ready?
And
there's something to be said. You ready?
There is something to be said, and that's where I wonder about, because they threw a lot at it, even though you got some really good names. And I'll let you get to this because I think I know where you're going. But like Humphrey, Hamilton, like you have the names, but it just wasn't as good as I thought it could be when I actually went back and looked at the numbers. So I guess drafting Starks and adding those guys, it does make sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it absolutely. And letting Stevens walk out the door, who did not perform well for you last year. But no, to be said was, again, like if you're looking at EPA per play at a team level, offense or defense or quarterback for that matter, I tend to screen out turnovers. I think that's more useful because turnover is pretty noisy in terms of really huge singular swings in EPA for a given play. If you take out turnovers and you look at the Ravens defense weeks 1 through 8 last year, Andy, they were 26th in EPA per play. Elite run defense, but that pass defense was 4th worst in the NFL. Only the Jags, Cardinals, and Panthers were worse than you in terms of pass defense from an EPA per play standpoint. You were getting beat. They made adjustments to the scheme in the second half of the season, and wouldn't you know it, they were first from week 9 to week 18, and in fact, the only team with a negative EPA per play, negative 0.028 over the second half of the season.
I mean,
that
what
is
changed?
Unreal.
What changed between the
and
end
had,
of 23 and the start of 24? You know.
Oh, but yeah.
I mean, it just,
corner. Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly, I was hoping this is where you went with the split, and I think it was a guy just getting his sea legs under him.
Yeah,
because,
figuring out how
the run defense was good all year, but it still did keep improving. And you know, you saw some improvements. Wiggins took some step forward.
Wiggins, yeah,
didn't even really mention him. But you have a group of corners who's very good. If Starks works out, you know, I didn't rate it as the best coverage unit because of, you know, even as it improved, it wasn't the best coverage unit. But that's their ceiling this year. Their ceiling is this is the best coverage unit. And you have some good pass rushers, and it's just going to make those guys even better.
Yeah, their ceiling is this is just the flat out best defense.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If Starks, overall, like Starks feels like I mean, Starks is backfilling a pretty important injury in a Darius Washington, in my opinion. So I think he's pretty lucky that you got him. Jair Alexander is like gravy. Like if he still got it, like wonderful.
You know what?
Wonderful.
He didn't play a lot, but when he did and he wasn't clearly hampered, he still has it. Like he's very good. Sure. Wiggins towards the end of the year, he was asked to play quite a bit.
Yeah. I like that getting Alexander too lets you put Humphrey in the slot. Personally, I think that is where Humphrey is best served now at this stage of his career. And that, you mentioned it, Mike Green, like talk about a player who has been getting unequivocally positive buzz for his specific on-field performances in training camp so far. Mike Green looks like a monster out there. And this is, the pass rush was maybe the one thing about this defense that you could have looked a little sideways and been like, man, we're really asking a lot of Kyle Van Noy at this point. Does he have a fastball left at all? Adafe always probably out at the door after this year. At least I can't imagine they extend him at this point, but maybe they do. I mean, Mike Green might ultimately be your most effective pass rusher as a rookie, and you got him for pennies on the dollar in the second round, which is unreal. Very much very much a DeCosta, how DeCosta do it moment for the Ravens. Getting Green there. Anyway, the defense looks amazing on paper. Really nice moves. And then on the offensive side, you didn't really need to do much, obviously.
The Hopkins is kind of it. Note Boom is a depth swing tackle.
Cooper Rush, a decent backup. That's kind of an upgrade backup.
That's actually a nice little upgrade to your backup quarterback. He's been around a little. And Awuzie too, he's been around a bit. His numbers aren't great, but also, again, defense, and especially a defensive secondary. Outside of an offensive line, I think a secondary unit is the most important. Like, who you're playing with matters to your personal success. Sure. And I think Awuzie could have a glow up because he's not going to be asked to do
go run with wide receiver one.
Yeah, he's not going to be asked to
go run with Nico Collins.
You're like our third corner, or if we're running, maybe if we're running three safeties, suddenly you slide in there, especially with, like we said, with Washington hurt, and we're going to need somebody to just fill in there.
Sure,
it's not going to be asked to do as much, and I think he can have a bit of a glow up because I think he has the skill set.
Okay.
So and then like we said, offensively, Hopkins, Rush, Noteboom, that's kind of it. It wasn't a ton of moves either.
Do you think Hopkins has any final act, or is he ring chasing?
Oh, I think he's fine. I don't think this is like you're expected to be the one, but you could do a lot worse for like a wide receiver 2 possession guy. Like he's 33, but he's still got the hands. He's not going to be as explosive as he was when he was young. But man, you need a possession receiver on third down. You could do a lot worse. So
are you hearing
actually
anything about their depth popping at all? Like this Wester kid, Tylan Wallace, Devontae Walker. Are any of these guys going to
LeJohntay Webster
slide in there? Because Isaiah Likely is probably going to miss some time, right?
Yes. No, he for sure is. And
you think a couple of weeks, maybe a month?
You're old. I'm not sure. I was penciling it in for about a month.
He seems like a pup candidate, maybe. Right, first 4 weeks, which is unfortunate because that includes Buffalo, Detroit, and Kansas City.
Yeah, I think they'll keep this Webster kid. I feel like he's returning punts, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, he is. He might be your starting punt returner. So I think he's making the squad. Devontae Walker, second year guy. I haven't heard a lot out of camp for really any of those guys, but everybody's just been wowed by the starters.
Yeah, right.
Where, hey, this is. I think like Baldinger goes to every camp, I believe.
Well,
I think he goes to all of them, and he had some quotes where it's just like it's not the words he used, but basically it sounded like this is a professional football team who's doing professional football team shit, and everything about going to Ravens camp was impressive.
Yeah,
and sometimes that's just the ones look really good.
There's one notable exception, which is I've heard pretty lukewarm buzz about the way Lamar looks so far. Do you think that's total garbage noise?
Yeah, I think it's
there's no Todd Monken is trying to add wrinkles to make them look a little bit different because there's a lot of good tape of what they did well, and Lamar's not taking to it at all.
No, I don't think there's much to that. Who knows if it's
I'm asking this because a slow start could be problematic, as we'll see in a minute.
It could be.
All right. No changes at all in the coaching room, right? Harbaugh, Monken are back. Zach Orr, still the DC. Chris Horton still the special teams coordinator.
Chris Horton, yeah, he's been there 6-7 years. Okay. Devontae Walker, I do have it. I did a control F, and I do have a little note on him. He's popped enough in camp and whatever else that he's firmly entrenched as the 4. Is kind of where we're at right now.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about their schedule, shall we?
Yes.
Most interesting part of this whole conversation, because again, like if you're betting a futures pool for the Super Bowl, if you are excluding the Ravens, then you're going to be the one who's disappointed that this is finally their year, I think, because they are that good. They could very well win. They start out very, very tough though. And in fact, I think if I'm going to throw this to you and you tell me if this checks out. If there wasn't at Baltimore week 1, at KC week 4, and versus Detroit week 3, like if those didn't exist as kind of a known early portion of the schedule, do you think more people would just be like making their official picks like the Ravens are just going to win this year? Like, are people a little shied away by the idea of like they could be 2-2 and it could be 2 important losses?
Yeah, it's weird how if those games are like week 13 and 16,
yeah,
it's just kind of like and there'll be some fun clashes at the end. We'll get some. It's like we'll get some playoff previews late in the season rather than oh no, you gotta split those games and the Detroit game's huge. It's crazy. And in the long run, the craziest thing about how we're talking about this, no one gives a shit about what happens in September.
No,
it's not like college where you can just you have this huge loss that nobody remembers because you got to win these games against good teams if you want good seeding. But it is crazy how like those games don't matter outside of anything but seeding.
Yeah.
Because there are so many
tie
good
break.
teams,
I mean, like the tie breaks very possibly coming into play. Surely
they matter for tie breaks. They matter for seeding. But when it comes to the perception of this team, come January, you're gonna be like, oh man, do you remember that KC game in September?
Yeah.
Or like the Buffalo game. Kids aren't even in school yet. We're talking about a game, and we're going to be into next year. Trying to remember.
It did kind of influence. I don't know. Maybe there were other things at play, but the Baltimore was at home against the Bills week 4 when they won by 25 points, and they were 2.5-point favorites in that game. They were 1-point favorites in the game on the road at Buffalo in the playoffs. So there was a little bit of I don't know, maybe a connection between, the last time these guys played, they took care of business. So maybe we'll give them a little extra juice.
Well, to be fair, Buffalo was playing pretty good at the time.
No, but this was in Buffalo. So this was So I'm saying it's tough to square that you could have that much of a difference between Baltimore and Buffalo, that Baltimore would be favored in that game. I don't really remember what was going on, that Baltimore's rating was so much higher than Buffalo's that it made sense to take them.
You already talked about it. The defense was getting better every week, and the offense was on a record-setting pace for rushing and scoring.
Yeah, the Bills' defense was sputtering and hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. And despite them not looking like a team that should have a lot of explosive plays, they did. They were middle of the pack for like plays per drive, but they were 4th or 5th for how many drives they scored on. They had like big plays all the time, and they converted a lot. So,
well, much like the Buffalo Bills, the Ravens are favored in a lot of games, although not all of their games like Buffalo is. They are projected to win 11.5 games. Their projected wins are slam dunks, much like the Bengals that we talked about yesterday. Bills also were an 11.5 projected win team. So very fine margin between those two, which means the tiebreak week 1 could be ultimately the decider. No international games for the Ravens. No really difficult travel for the Ravens. In fact, the Ravens have it pretty easy in terms of body clock over the balance of the season and where they're asked to go. I think their most difficult trips is the back-to-back at Miami, at Minnesota. But I don't think either of those flights is more than like 2.5 hours. The Rams come to Baltimore, which is nice. You don't have to go to LA. The Ravens don't have to face anyone coming off their bye.
Yeah.
This is a pretty dang good schedule. There's one thing that is a little bit of a chin scratcher on this schedule that I want to see if you agree.
Sure.
4 standalone games? None after Thanksgiving? What the hell?
They'll probably get flexed into something, right?
I don't know. Will they?
If they're playing well. But, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of them are like, do you want to see them?
Cincinnati, New England, and Green Bay? I'd put all those on TV for me.
Yeah, the Green Bay one. The Green Bay one is one I looked at. Like, that should get flexed. And I think that's one of the weeks. But
dude, if New England is playing well and that offense is clicking, like, oh man, that game will be just stir up all the old New England Baltimore matchups of days of old, days of yore.
One of the standalone games might be bad. The Miami game might be bad, even though it is
might be.
Road,
might be.
Do you want to see him either Cleveland or the Jets or like even Pittsburgh? That's not a good matchup for Pittsburgh right now.
No.
I mean, there's just some games that I don't want to see. But yeah, New England, Green Bay, those would be good ones to flex. Even the Rams game, because I do like the Rams.
Listen to you falling in the trap of they're going to ether the Browns. You just talked about how those are always fun, crazy.
They're always fun. But yeah, we'll see. Man, can you imagine if Shadur's injury is like bad and he doesn't play, and we're Lamar versus Dylan Gabriel game?
Have you heard anything on that? I've been working all day, so
I don't think it was too bad. There's so many of those now, especially that we're getting all these joint practices where people are going a little harder. Like Josh Metellus, there was like an hour there where it's like, oh my God, he broke his collarbone. And now it's just like, no, he just landed on his shoulder. He's fine. Follow up on it. We always do that. Yeah, Chop Robinson, he turned out to be okay. Half the times it's like, oh, this guy he got taken off in a cart. Yeah, because he couldn't walk. He had cramps. That shit happens every summer, guys. It's hot out.
Okay. Well, I can tell you what. I'm not using Baltimore in Survivor week 2 against
Ever.
Cleveland. No, thank you.
I'm skipping.
I will probably save them for something in that home stretch of actually, I think the spot is probably week 12.
Chicago
12.
isn't the worst spot.
I think it's week 12. I think you're saving them for 12. They are playing on Thanksgiving against Cincinnati. If something happens to Burrow, you maybe want to have them. I think you might want to know if Burrow is healthy for that game, Thanksgiving, before you fire them. So I think ultimately you wait till week 12, and if it seems like everything's business as usual for 13 between Baltimore and Cincy, then you fire Baltimore versus the Jets. In fact, I think that I'm building an optimizer, by the way, that simulates the season and picks the most likely path for Survivor, and haven't unveiled any of the results yet, and it may be useless, so I may never unveil it. But I'm guessing that I'm seeing a pretty high percentage of Baltimore as optimal picked week 12.
I did build something like that for baseball when I used to love doing that baseball Survivor. I'll have to get back into that next year, but I have a half-assed project I've started, so I'm kind of excited to compare ours. Like we'll have to
cool.
keep our secret from each other and compare them when we start doing Survivor here.
I like that. All right, man. Nothing else to say.
Circa, you probably will not be alone using them against the Jets, but you know what's
well, a
more
lot of people
important?
might have used them in either the 2 Cleveland matchups or the Miami matchup or the Chicago matchup. Like possible.
You know what's more important than being unique? Not getting eliminated.
Yeah, true. By that point, especially, yeah.
Especially if you're into the double-digit weeks.
Yes. Okay. Not much else to say about schedule.
Yeah, let's do some ratings.
I have the Baltimore Ravens as a very good team. All right. Let's look at the odds. No, quarterback for me for the Ravens is rare air. I'm expecting a step backwards, of course, from what would be a 10.0 ultimately in terms of
you can't start
Lamar last year.
rating.
I'm going with an 8.9 to start off here. And like I said, I take a little bit of kind of the time arc of his last 3 seasons where Lamar was not that amazing efficiency wise in 22 or 23, and then in 24 put together an all-timer. So that's taking that a little bit into account. 50% weight last year, 20% weight 2023. Wait a second. 30% weight 2023, 20% weight 2022 to get to that 8.9.
I'm at an 8.25, and I will not explain it any further until we talk about one of the other groups. So moving on to offensive line.
O-line. I am at a 7.5.
This is confounding offensive line because it's not that good. It shouldn't be a top 5 offensive line. It isn't. Ronnie Stanley picked it up again. Linderbaum is a very good center. Rosengarten, good, not great, especially for a youngster. He did give up some pressures, but he got the run. He got the run scheme right away, and that's what matters. It's still not good at guard. You still have 2 questionable guards. It's a 6.5, but it's hard because it wasn't that good last year, but it doesn't matter. Like, the way they run their offense, it doesn't need to be elite all the way across because Lamar isn't this pocket passer who needs, a nice, tight, clean, hey, let's make this beautiful semicircle pocket and be 5 elite pass blockers to have our statue of a quarterback have 3.4 seconds to find the receiver downfield. It's just not that kind of offense. It's a 6.5 for me because that's as high as I'll go with these guards, but it doesn't matter, and I've made up for it in other spots.
Okay. The only question mark I had at all was Voorhees. I like the other 4 guys a lot.
Falele?
Yeah.
He's average. He's average.
He's average? Okay.
Yeah.
He was very available last year.
But he's a big-ass dude who's a good run blocker. He's just inconsistent, and the pass blocking isn't as good as it could be.
Okay. They're young too. Man. Linderbaum, Falele, and Rosengard. These guys are all young. Like
Rosengard, what's that? Second, third year?
It's 23-year-old season for Rosengard this year. Jesus.
And a little bump for Noteboom. Noteboom shouldn't be starting anywhere, but you can do a lot worse for swing tackle backups.
Okay. So I'm at 7.5. That's fine. 7.5 for me for skill group as well. I really like this group outside of the depth at wide receiver. And I would be even a little higher if Likely was expected to go.
I'm at an 8 because I'm counting Lamar's legs as part of the skill group.
Oh, okay.
Like I didn't know if I could go that high on quarterbacks. So I just built him in partially as skill
just because his presence opens things up for the running backs.
Yeah, the combination of the two, him and Derrick Henry as a running group, is just such an elite. And how they do some of the the meshing and deciding who's going to take the ball, and it never seems to matter. They both move the chains, and then you upgraded a little bit at wide receiver 2/3.
You
don't have any elite wide receivers, but 1, 2, 3, they're all good. And then, like you said, depth is questionable, but they like.
What I wouldn't hate to see? I think would be a viable strategy. Let's ease Henry into this season.
Yeah, as Sam's pointing out, you got Keaton Mitchell.
Let's use a lot of Keaton. Let's use a healthy amount of Keaton Mitchell in the months of April and September and October. Wouldn't be the worst thing. Let's get Henry up to speed in December and watch him be a true unstoppable force in the months of December, January.
You know who else is still? I think he's still on the roster. Dearness Johnston. Like he got a bunch of carry. Like he was asked to be not a bell cow, obviously, but he was asked to run a bunch in, I believe, Cleveland. So you got a bunch of guys who can give him a spell. So no, I agree with you there.
Okay.
It's my second ranked offense.
My first. Run stop 7.8. This unit is elite year in, year out, and it all is because of Roquan Smith. What do you think?
Who had a down year for him.
Well, he started slow and got into it, but
exactly. It's the same. A lot of the same thing we said about the defense's entirety. A lot of the key players had similar trajectories.
Similar arcs.
And he's still very good.
Yes, he's still very good. He is entering his 7th season, age 28, peak of his powers.
Yeah, this was the number 1 run defense last year.
What number do you have?
8.1.
Okay. Pass rush for me is their lowest number, and I'm at 3.4. But again, if Mike Green is special, then I look stupid, and this should be more like a 5 or 6. I am kind of pinning my team defense pass rush a lot more to the pressure rate overall that they were able to get, and the Ravens were not especially effective there. They were the 25th team overall in pressure rate last year.
Really, I had them as 15th in pass and pressures on pass rush snaps. So I'd look at a few different things. And I had them middling in that, but did you see how many sacks they got? It's tough because, again, we talk about that sometimes being a little random. They had a lot of sacks. They got home more often, and you have some good numbers for Van Noy, and Offe and Matabuke, like good players. Kind of a weird unit. The pass rush win rate was low, like you said. So the pressure rates in certain situations were low, average at best. Like if you want to make the numbers dance, average at best. I'm going to give them a little bump for Mike Green, and I made it a 5.
Maybe the pressure rate is thrown off because teams were at a deficit against them so much that they were just dropping back and throwing more, and so it kind of the denominator forces the rate down. Because you're right, they were very effective at sacking.
Yeah, I think they had the second most in the league.
Their sack, number sacks. 2 percentage of dropbacks, it was number 5. So their sack percentage was amazing, even though their pressure rate was pretty pedestrian. They're probably
tired from pass rushing 50 snaps.
Could be. Could be. All right. So I'm prepared to go up there, but I'm starting low. Coverage for me is 6.1, and this again also feels low, but I'd like to see what Jair Alexander has still. I'd like to know that our Darius Washington being gone does not meaningfully affect the quality of safety play. And I'd like to see, make sure Marlon Humphrey still has a fastball. Otherwise, it's a really, really good coverage unit. What do you think?
Yeah, Humphrey's still a top 10 corner in the league. Hamilton's a top 2 safety. If Starks is good, the big ifs on Starks and probably Jair. Jair has he's had a lot of injury issues. He's tried to play through some of them. He's missed a lot of games with other ones. Nate Wiggins taking a big step forward, I think, is bigger than anything else I just said. He's very good, and if he's long, he's athletic. I think he can be, we can be doing this next year and be like, man, Humphrey and Wiggins, they're both top 10 corners. We're looking at an elite secondary. They have a super high ceiling here if we get anything out of like a Woozy, Alexander, Starks, if Wiggins improves, because Hamilton can play anywhere. They figured out again. It's like they've done this twice now, once with McDonald and once with Orr, where they had to figure out how to use Kyle Hamilton, and they've solved the problem both times. And they did give up some deep balls. They got targeted deep, though, a lot. It was another one of those where the denominator's big, and I have this as a 6.5.
Okay. So I'm the 8th best defense, which does feel like it has room to go up, but my overall rank is still so fucking high over market. I just needed to find some reason to be critical of them, honestly. What's your defensive rank?
4th best for me.
4th best. Okay.
Yeah.
Intangibles?
So Harbaugh, middle of the pack for aggressiveness, but adjustments, regular season adjustments, I think are good. He seems to keep his ship in order. He's still an 8.
I think aggressiveness is a little misplaced, though, too, because he does feel like he is strategic.
You don't need to.
He's strategic about when he goes for it. I've always thought.
They've always been known as one of the teams that has the most people in the analytics department.
Yes, true.
It's not like they've shunned analytics and are living in the, hey, I'm Ron Rivera and I'm going to punt this ball from the 42.
Yeah.
And it is a smart team. So even though we have what
was your number again?
It's an 8.
I'm 8. I'm an 8.5 here.
Aaron Schatz, his aggressiveness stuff. I respect his numbers. He's middle of the pack, but he's still an 8.
Okay, 8.5 here. Great leader of men. Special teams?
A 3.
Okay.
It was they were like 24th in DVOA on special teams. Here's a fun one. I got a couple minutes, or I don't have a couple minutes. We're almost running late, but this is another Aaron Schatz thing. This is FTN. There's something called hidden special teams points. It represents the advantage teams have received from elements of special teams generally out of their control, opposing field goals, kickoff distance, punt distance. It's listed as the points estimated field position, and the Ravens were dead last, and there was a big gap. They lost 18 points.
Their punt coverage was shitty. Their kickoff.
Well, it's just how far the punts went, how far the kicks went from. It's basically like you played all the teams with really good kickoff and punters essentially, and you lost 18 points over the course of the season in that. And weather as well, as far as how weather and altitude affects your special teams. They were like dead last in both of the special teams luck things, and they had a shitty kicker.
Yeah.
So now they have a rookie kicker. It should have.
Didn't they run back a punt against the Colts?
I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was that young
guy. The young guy. Yeah. Okay. Well,
but to be fair,
the
Colts suck.
That's true. Also, to be fair, if there is one, analytics group that is going to very carefully look at what is the optimal way to employ the kickoff, and with the new rules, you would expect that the Ravens are doing that, right? I would guess that we see some creativity there. You would hope. Okay. Number 1 overall power rated team for me, plus 6.75. That is 1.18 over market. The market has them as number one at 5.56. What do you think, Andy? Are we overstating this? I have Baltimore as almost a field goal better than the Kansas City Chiefs. Actually, really only 2.25 points better, but I feel like I have only one way to go here, which is up.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have the O-line rated lower than some. I have the pass rush as a unit that could go up. The coverage could go up. And, yeah, I have them as a 6.57 to start the season.
Are they just going to beat the Bills
slow.
week one?
Yeah, so I have them as 0.4 of a point better than Philly and Buffalo. Kansas City is my Kansas City number is 4.5, so about 2 points better than Kansas City right now, which is not a playoff
Feels
game,
like
guys. So it does feel like a lot, but on paper,
I mean, 2 years ago, Baltimore was -4 at home against Kansas City, so it was the same relative margin.
Yeah, all things considered, I'm fine with this number. I've projected to win about 12.75 games.
Okay,
I think they could win more than that.
Okay. All right. When are you betting them?
I probably won't. I don't trust them in the playoffs.
It was an hour and 5 minutes of build up for that joke.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to bet them against teams that can't stop the run because they are 100% willing to lean into it. Almost like as a bit. Like, hey, what if we ran for 400 yards against this team today and we just scored on every drive and then, had 2 possessions in the second half, a field goal and a touchdown that took 18 minutes off the board. Yeah. They can just do that if they want against some of these teams. So there's some of these teams where they're going to be laying big numbers, and I'm fine with it.
Happily with that. Yeah.
Because if this secondary is as good as I believe it can be, it's going to make the pass rush better. Mike Green might be a defensive rookie of the year candidate because they're going to be like the joke about, hey, what if they were pass rushing 50 snaps a game? He's not going to be in on all of those. But if he's pass rushing 25 snaps a game or something nuts, and he gets to do that a lot because they're leading a lot, he's 12 sacks as a rookie. Like that's something that gets you in the conversation for an award.
Okay. I will say they're more fragile than the Bills, more fragile than the Chiefs because of the potential for a Lamar injury relative to those two and the depth. Yeah. They're more stars than scrubs. There's no scrubs on this team. They're all so fucking good. But there are stars that matter a lot, and if any of those guys get hurt, it's going to affect their.
Who's their worst starter out of the 22? It's Falale.
You think? No, it's not Falale.
Who's starting that's worse? Washington, maybe.
I was going to go Broderick Washington Jr.
Broderick Washington. He's maybe a bit of a weak spot, but he's rotating in and out. Like Falale is starting every down. That's the other thing. Like,
true.
It's not the same. That's it. It is. And you said it like, I don't think he's that bad. And I said, yeah, he's average. Voorhees
is probably the worst. Left guard, yeah.
I guess I did say I had him lower. So
guard play.
It's one of the guards.
It just doesn't matter for this team.
It doesn't. And for the way
everybody is frozen. Every snap, the ball is snapped fairly, and to Lamar Jackson, he takes a clean snap. Everybody freezes. That's just the way the play goes. Ultimately, I don't know that it's a must bet now. I don't think it's a must bet before they play Buffalo and KC. I think there's a very, very real world where they are just ready to go and better than those teams right now, though, and win those 2 games for sure. And at that point, it's definitely possible that we are a quarter of the way through the season and people are treating this team like the 07 Patriots. People are looking at the schedule and they're like, wait, are they going to lose?
I kind of want them to go 2-2 because then I would probably watching those games back and keeping an eye on all the question mark pieces that we talked about. Like, is the guard play a smidge better? Are those secondary pieces good? Is this pass rush going to be very legit?
Yeah.
And are they going to improve? Are you going to see that trajectory? And then it's probably like, hey, let's buy some Ravens here in week 5.
If the Ravens are undefeated, Andy, through 16 weeks, so they're 15-0, 2 games remaining. Do you chase glory, or do you Peyton Manning and Colts pull the rug so that the pressure of perfection is not adding to the pressure that already seems to somewhat affect your quarterback in the playoffs?
Harbaugh seems very pragmatic to me. I think he would pull starters. Not for the pressure of perfection. It's like, can you imagine if Lamar got Booby Miles in a game that didn't matter? Where Lamar, like, not even just like, not like his knee is torn, he's out for a year, but high ankle sprain, he's going to miss 3 weeks. Like, you lose in the you lose in the divisional round because you had to start. Who was it? The guy that we talked about him. I can't even think of the backup quarterback.
Cooper Rush.
I kept wanting to say Case Keenum. He's not on this team.
I thought you were referencing when they did have to start Snoop Hundley in the playoffs a couple years ago.
Yeah, they don't have Snoop anymore.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So
that would scare me way worse if I'm Harbaugh and I'm Lamar. You're not even coming to the game. You're on the couch. I don't want you slipping on a banana peel or something silly.
15-0 doesn't feel that crazy if they win those first 2.
Well, and the thing is too, who are those last 2 games against?
Green Bay and Pittsburgh.
The Green Bay. See, the Green Bay. If it was 2 cake teams, the funniest outcome is like another team is like 15-1 and they need to beat Green Bay, and then they lock it up, and then you win you get your perfect season with the backups against a hated division rival. That's funny.
See,
that's a very funny outcome.
You beat Mason Rudolph and the Steelers, even though the backups are in. Cooper Rush goes.
It's way funnier if it's Rodgers and he's like really trying in earnest, like the guy who's bunting to stop a perfect game, and he still gets thrown out at first. Like, I want to see. I've grown, and I mean, I was a Vikings fan for a while. I should hate Aaron Rodgers more for that. I've grown to hate him a lot more as just a bad person.
Yeah, his presence in the
just
space
an annoying
is not
presence.
enjoyable. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. All right. I think that does it. If the Ravens lose the AFC North, I'll be very surprised. But because the gap between them and the Bengals for me is 4 points.
Yeah.
Is that right? We were at Bengals yesterday, 164. I'm at 657. Excuse me, 5 points, 5 and change. God damn. This team is so good. I hope they win.
Cincy had 1.82. So, or no, I'm looking at the wrong number. Cincy had 1.69.
What was your final Baltimore number? I forget.
6.57.
Okay,
not far below you.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck, Rave Dogs. I hope the team has health and well-being and wins the first 15, and then we get some interesting nonsense at the end of the year. That would be fun.
Are they going to be like a bigger number than they should be for the best team on last undefeated because they have 2
probably
incredibly tough games to start?
Probably.
I'm going to look at that market. That's interesting to me now that you have incepted that. See you guys.